Good morning, everybody. As we start the today's chitas of the day, today is Wednesday, which is going to be in the portion of Vayechi. We're holding the fourth reading in the fourth part of the portion, Revi'i, and which is on chapter 49, verse number 1. Vayikra Yaakov al banav. If Jacob blessed Joseph and his children, he then called all of the other sons. And he told them, gather together, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen at the end of days. So Rashi says, he attempted to reveal to them the end of days when Mashiach is going to come. But the Shekhinah, the presence of God, withdrew from him. So he began to say other things. That's why he says it again. He kapsu v'shim in verse number 2. He says it again. Gather and listen. So he gathered them for one thing. He tried to do it, and it didn't work. So he decided to go a different avenue. Verse 2, gather and listen, sons of Jacob. Vishuvu el Yisrael avichem, and here, listen to your Israel, your father. Verse number 3. Reuven b'chayri ata, Reuven, you are my firstborn. Ata keichi v'reish, you are the my strength and the first of my might. Yes, it says you should have been superior in rank. Yes, it is you should have been superior in power. So Rashi says, Reishis Oini, that is his first drop of semen. Even though he got married he was 70, he's in his 70s when he got married, he said, it's the first time that I had omission, for you had never experienced a nocturnal emission. You are my first act of this, of creating, of bringing about a seed. Oini, so Rashi says Oini is my strength, and he finds it in different places in the Torah where Oini means strength. Yes, it says a greater rank. You were fit to superior over your brother. You should have been. You should have been everything. You should have been the king. You should have been the kohen, brother with priesthood, an expression of raising of hand, nesias kapayim. You should have been the priests in the Jewish nation, but it was taken away from you. But yes, you should have been superior in kingship, as we see, and he will be granted strength. And what caused him to lose all this? Why did he lose the priesthood? And why did he lose being the king of the Jewish nation? Verse number 4. Pachas kamayim, you have the relentless of water, the restfulness of water. Therefore, I'll tell you shall not be superior. Ki alisa mishkevei avicha, because you have ascended upon your father's couch. Oz chilalta yitzur elah, then you profaned he who ascended upon my bed. So Rashi says, the restfulness of and the haste with which you hasten to display your anger. So here he told him, because you can't control yourself, you're too quick. Similar to water which hastens its course. Therefore, you shall not be superior. You shall not no longer receive all these superior positions that were fitted for you, now that you are restlessness that you exhibited. You ascended upon your father's couch, and then you profaned it. That is the name of the ascended of my couch. That is the Shekhinah, which was accustomed to going up to my bed. You showed weakness and disrespect to God. Pachas. So Rashi says this is a noun, and it's a grammar Rashi. Next, my bed, a term denoting a bed, because it is spread with mattress and sheets. There are similar occurrences. I shall not go upon the bed that was spread before me. So it's a concept of yitzu'ai, is an aspect of a bed. So this is when he mixed up his father's bed. He took his father's bed and he put it into his mother's tent. And Jacob said, "You were too haste, even though you did it to respect your mother, but it was not the right thing to do without asking." Verse number 5. Shimon v'Levi, Shimon and Levi, Achem, you are brothers. Klichamas, stolen instruments. Mechareim are their weapons. So Rashi says, Shimon v'Levi, they were the one who accorded their plot against Shem and against Yosef, both of these brothers. They were true friends, but also friends in negativity too. So they said to one another, so now let's kill him. So you were the ones who plotted against Joseph. You were the ones who went to war with Shem. Who were they? If you say that it was Reuven or Judah, that cannot be by Joseph. They did not agree to kill him. If you say it was the sons of the maidservants, that cannot be, because their hatred towards him was not so unmitigated that they would want to kill him. For it states that he was a lad and he was friends with the sons of Bilhah and Zilpah. It could not be Yisachar and Zevulun, because they were not spoken before. They were never spoken before the older brothers Yehuda and Reuven. So who could it be? It couldn't be Yisachar and Zevulun. It couldn't be Yehuda and Reuven. It couldn't be the sons of the maids. It was only Shimon and Levi. So it was Shimon and Levi, who their father called brothers. Stolen instruments. So this craft of murder is in their hands wrongfully, for it was a part of Esav's blessing. What are you doing with murder? Wanting to kill your brother, wanting to killing the whole Shechem. This is not your business. And therefore, their weapons, mecherem, term notes weapons. In Greek, the word for the sword is the concept of michere sehem. Another explanation, in the land of their dwelling, they conducted themselves with implements of violence, like your dwelling place, b'mecheseim, in their birthplace. A deal in the Jewish nation, in the Jewish people, the Jewish family. Why would you acquire the talents of aggressiveness? And therefore, verse number 6, B'soidom al tovi nafshi, let my soul not enter their counsel. B'kolam atecha kavodi, my honor shall not join in their assembly. Ki ba'apam hargu ish, because in their wrath they killed a man. U'b'tzainam ikru shar, and with their will they hamstrung a bull. So Rashi says, B'soidom al tovi nafshi, these are all prophetic things that Jacob told his children. Jacob over here told his children, B'soidom zez Zimri, this is the incident of Zimri that Jacob is referring to, when the tribe of Shimon gathered to bring the Midianites before Moshe Rabbeinu. They said to him, is this forbidden or permitted? This was for the tribe of Shimon. If you say it's forbidden, who is permitted to marry Jethro's daughter? Why did Moses marry Jethro's daughter? Let my name be not mentioned connection with that affair. Therefore, Torah depicts Zimri, the son of Shaul, the prince of the father of the house of Shimon, and it doesn't write the son of Jacob. I don't want to be part of it. I don't want my name to be part of that situation. Ubekahalam, and when they assemble, when Kairach, who is the tribe of Levi, assembles the whole congregation against Moshe and Aaron, don't mention my name. Now she says again, my honor shall not join, my name shall not join them there. As it said, Kairach, the son of Yitzhar, the son of Kahas, the son of Levi. But it doesn't say the son of Jacob. However, when the lineage of the son of the Kairach is given regarding the platform, it says the son of Kairach, the son of Yitzhar, the son of Kahas, the son of Levi, the son of Israel. So here we see he does mention his name. But when it comes to the story of the rebellion of Korach, Jacob says, mix my name out of there. We're going to continue. We're going to continue. The next one is a grammar. Rashi will go to the third one. In their wrath, they killed a man. These are Hamor and the men of Shechem. And all of them are considered no more than one man. And so the scripture regarding Gideon, you shall smite the Midian as one man. And similarly regarding the Egyptians, a horse and its rider he cast in the sea, even though he's talking about many of them. This it is Medrash interpretation, but it's a simple meaning is that the many men are called a man, each one individually. It's an important thing in the Torah law. When you kill a lot of people, it's not you get lost in the numbers. Each person is a whole world. In their wrath, Shimon and Levi killed every man whom they were angry. Similarly, and we learn to attack prey. He devoured men, Adam. And with their will, they hamstrung a bull. Rashi says they wanted to uproot Joseph, who was called a bull. As is written, the firstborn of his bull, he has majesty. Later, when Moses blesses the tribe of Joseph, he calls Joseph as a bull. Ikru in Old French is hamstringing, an expression similar, you shall hamstring the horses. Verse number 7. Arur apam kios, cursed is their wrath, for it's mighty. Rav rasam kikosha, and their anger, because it is harsh. Achalkim beYaakov, I will separate them throughout Jacob. Ve'afitzem beYisrael, and I will scatter them throughout Israel. Very powerful statement. Yaakov Avinu says. Now she says, cursed is their wrath, for it's mighty. Even at the time of castration, he cursed them, only their wrath. This is an agreement with the idea behind what Bilam said. What shall I curse with God? Did not curse. So here Jacob didn't chas v'shalom want to curse his sons. He wanted to curse their negative traits. And he told them, your wrath is evil, not you are evil, God forbid. Your wrath is evil. Your anger is evil. And therefore, what I'm going to do to these two tribes, Rashi says, I will separate them from one another, so that Levi will not be numbering among the tribes. Hence, they are separate. That's why later, when the Jewish people were counted, the tribe of Levi was not counted amongst them. Another explanation, there are no paupers, scribes, or teachers of the children except for the tribe of Shimon. Jacob said the tribe of Shimon are going to be a very poor tribe. They're going to be scribes and teachers and poor people, so that they should be scattered. They'll be wanderers. And the tribe of Levi was made to go around in threshing floors for offering. The tribe of Levi survive off of tithing. Thus, he's caused to be dispersed in a respectful way. So Yaakov says, I'm going to make these two tribes that they would be a weaker tribe in the Jewish nation. They'll separate. They'll have to wander through the different cities to be able to make a living, etc. Verse number 8. Yehuda, Judah, Ata Yeducha, as for you, your brothers will acknowledge you. Yotcha be'edef eivecha, your hand will be at the nape of your enemies. Yishtachelo be'evicha, and your father's sons will prostrate themselves to you. So Rashi says, Yehuda ata yeducha yadecha, since he reproved the first ones, Reuven, Shimon, and Levi, with a rebuke, Judah began retreating backwards. He said, uh-oh, what is my father going to tell me? So that Jacob would not reprove him for his deeds involving Tamar. So Jacob called him with words of appeasement. Judah, you're not like them. You will be acknowledged by your brothers. And when will you hold the nape of your enemies? This is the time of David HaMelech. And all my enemies, you have given me the back of their necks. Bnei Avicha, since they were born from many wives, he did not say your mother's sons, after the manner of Isaac said. Didn't say that way. He said Bnei Avicha, the sons of the father's sons, because he had a couple of wives. Verse number 9. Gur Aryeh Yehuda, a cub and a grown lion is Judah. V'terev b'nei Elisa, from the prey, my son, you withdraw. Kerad reva kari, kerad ravatz kari, he crouched like a lion. Ukalavi mi kemena. He crouched, he rested like a lion, and like a lion, who will arouse him? So Rashi says, over here, Yaakov has prophesied about David HaMelech, who was first like a cub when Saul was a king over us. It was you who led Israel out and brought them. And at the end, like a lion, when they made him a king over them, David HaMelech. This is what Onkelos means when it's translations by Yehei Bishra Shiltei. He shall be a ruler in the beginning, but he will be lying down. From the prey, from what I suspect of you, namely that Joseph has surely been torn up, and a wild beast has devoured him. This refers to Judah, who is likened to a lion. My son, you withdraw. Elisa, you withdraw yourself and said, what is the gain if we slay our brother and cover his blood? Similarly, Judah withdrew from killing Tamar, and it was confessed, she is right, it is me. Therefore you crouched, you lay down, this fulfilling the time of Solomon, where man under the that the lion will be restful, he'll lay down. And this he prophesied that there'll be a time when under the leadership of the tribe of Judah, the Jewish people will be Ish Tachas Gafna, each person will be under his own tree and he will lie down. Verse number 10. Yasser Shavit Yehuda, the scepter shall never depart from Judah. Nor the student of the law from between his feet. Ad Kiyave Shiloh, until Shiloh comes, V'lo yikas amim, to him will be gathering of peoples. So Rashi says, it's all prophecies. Yasser Shavit mi Yehuda, the scepter shall not depart from Judah. From David and thereafter, the kingship shall always be in the tribe of Judah. These who bear the scepter after the termination of the kingdom are the princesses of Babylon, who rule over the people with a scepter, and they are appointed by royal mandate. Umechaykik min bein naglav, know the students of law between your feet, students. These are the princes of the land of Israel. Ad kiyav Shiloh, until Shiloh comes. Who is Shiloh? This refers to Melech HaMashiach. This refers to the king Mashiach, Shamlucha Shaloi, to whom the kingdom belongs to him. Here he prophesies that ultimately we pray for that Tzemach David Avdecha, may the Mashiach come, who's the son of David, and again become a king and a ruler of the Jewish people. Chen Targum Onkelos. And so it's brought down in Onkelos. That's the way Onkelos translates it. Umedish Agodah Shiloh, Shei Loi. Shiloh stands for two words, a gift to him. Shenema, as it says, they will bring him a gift to him who is feared. And that is Mashiach, ultimately he is going to be given a gift for all the worlds. So that's what that Torah continues. And to him will be gatherings of people. Yikasam denotes a gathering of people. This is a. We'll skip to the middle. This too is now meaning a gathering of people, meaning a number of nations who unite to serve God and join under the banner of the King Mashiach. As it says, to him shall gather nations in court. Similarly, so it says, the eye that mocks the father is despised, the mother wrinkles, meaning the gathering of the wrinkles of her face due to her old age. The Talmud, we're sitting in gathering assembly. It's all the concept of Yikais Amen, the gatherings of nations. And that's, so when Mashiach comes, it's not only big for the Jewish nation, but actually he's going to gather all the nations under one banner to all believe in God. Verse 11. Asire legefen irai. He binds his fowl to a vine. L'shreke b'nei asene. And a tendernil. He binds his young donkey. Kibis beyayin levushay. He launders his garments with wine. Ubedam anav v'susay. And with the blood of grapes, he binds his remnants. So Rashi says, over here he prophesies concerning the land of Judah, namely, that wine will flow like a fountain from it. One of Judah's men will bind one's fowl to a vine and a load for another one vine, and from one tindernil he will load one young donkey. He's going to have a lot of wine from the land of Judah. Shreka, long branches. He laundered with wine. This is an expression of abundance of wine. Susay is a word denoting type of garment, and there is none like it in scripture. It's unbelievable that Rashi can say that here we have a verse that is not found in any of the 24 books of the Torah, the Tanakh. You won't find another word like this, Susa, anywhere else in the Torah. So Rashi says, continues, Asire is an example. He lifted the pauper from the dust. So it's all translation. Also, that he's going to have abundance, and he will have an unbelievable amount of success as he continues there. That the tendril represents Israel, referring to such a prophecy. Yet I planted you a noble vine stock. Translated Uncas, they shall build his temple. B'nai derived from Bana, built. An expression similar to the entrance gate, Share Isanan. The complete tiger reads as follows: He, Mashiach, shall bring Israel around to his city. The people shall build his temple. Yilkos first translates in another manner, the vine referring to the righteous. B'nai Asana referring to those who uphold the Torah by teaching others. From this idea expressed the verse, the riders of the white donkey, Asana is the scholars. So Rashi says, next Rashi, fine purple shall be his garments. Mashiach's garment, fine purple, whose color resembles wine. Targum reads, fine purple shall be his garments, his remnants, fine wool, crimson and colorful clothing. All colors of clothing is the expression of the word susa, a garment. A woman wears to entice a male to cast his eyes on her. Rabbi doesn't explain the Talmud, a term donating the enticement of drunkenness. In Tractate Ksubas, it says, and if you say about wine, it does not intoxicate, the Torah states, susa, which means enticements to drunkenness. Rabbi render the passage as follows: and with blood grapes that entice. Drink too much wine. Verse number 12. He is red-eyed from the wine, and white tooth from the milk. So Rashi's chachile is an expression of redness, and the tiger renders is similar, who is bloodshot eyes. For his comments for those who drink wine to have red eyes. For milk, due to the abundance of milk, for his Judah's land there will be good pasture for flocks and sheep. This is the meaning of the verse. He shall be red-eyed from the abundance of wine, and he shall be white tooth from the abundance of milk. According to the Targum, however, Einaim donates mountains, because from there can see far away. According to the Targum, his mountains shall be red with vineyards. The Targum renders another manner as expression of fountains and the flow of vats. The Targum reads further, his vats shall flow with wine. So it's a different way to learn. Ultimately, this is the concept of his blessing. He's going to be a very fertile land. Judah will be a very fertile land, and part of Jerusalem and the Ara Yehuda today, the mountains of Judah, and he's going to have a beautiful land, and it's going to have a lot of wine and milk, and the Beis Hamikdash, and the scholars of the Jewish people, the Sanhedrin, will be in the land of Judah. 12. Zvulun will dwell on the coast of the seas. And he will be at the harbor of the ships. And his boundaries will be Zidon. So Rashi says his lands will be on the sea coast, as the Targum renders on Old French borderlands. He will consistently frequent the harbors for the ships, in the place of the ports where the ships bring merchandise. For Zvulun will engage in commerce and provided food for the tribe of Yisachar, and they, the tribe of Yisachar, were engaged in the Torah study. This is the meaning what Moses says: rejoice, Zvulun, with your going forth, and Yisachar in your tents. Zvulun will go forth and engage in commerce, and Yisachar would engage in the Torah. These two tribes made a pact. One would be in business, and one would sit and learn, and they would support each other. The one in business supported the one that was learning. The one that was learning gave the merit of his learning to his brother. In the end of his boundary will be near Tzidon, meaning his end similar to the end of the tablet. So the end where his boundary ends is going to be Tzidon. Verse 14. Yisachar chamer goyim. Yisachar is a bony donkey. Revitz ben hamishvasayim, who lying in between the boundaries. So Rashi says Yisachar is a bony donkey. A bony donkey bears the yoke of Torah, like a strong donkey laden with heavy burden. He has strong bones because he's going to be the one who's going to carry the Torah for the Jewish nation. Like a donkey which travels day and night and does not lodge in a house, but when it lies down to rest, it lies between the boundaries of the town where it transports more merchandise. And that's going to be Yisachar, the ones who learn Torah, going to carry the Torah of the Jewish people. Verse 15. He saw a resting place, that it was good. And the land that it was pleasant. And he bent his shoulder to bear the burden. And he became an injured laborer. So Rashi says, he saw that his territory was a blessed and good land for producing fruit. And he bent his shoulder to bear the burden of Torah. And he was for all his brothers, Lamas Ovid, to decide for them the instruction of the Torah, the law, and the sequences of the leap years. And it says, in the sons of Yisachar, those who understood the times, who were great knowledgeable people from the tribe of Yisachar, to know what Israel should do. The chiefs were 200. He Yisachar 200 heads of Sanhedrin, and all their brethren obeyed their words. So the Sanhedrin, throughout history, was a majority of the sages of the Sanhedrin, the high court, was from the tribe of Yisachar. He lowered his shoulders similarly, and he bent the heavens, inclined your ear. Onkelos, however, rendered a different manner, and he bent his shoulder to bear the wars and to conquer regions, for they dwelled on the border. The enemy will be vanquished under him as an intruded laborer. Verse 16. Don Yodin Amoi Ka'achad Shifte Yisrael. Don will avenge his people like one of the tribes of Israel. So Rashi says over here, he prophesies. Don Yodin, he will avenge his people from the Philistines. This is Shimshon HaGibar, Samson, who avenged the blood of his brothers from the Philistines. Ka'achad Shifte Yisrael, like one of the tribes of Israel. Rashi says all Israel will be like one with him, and he will avenge them all. Concerning Samson, who uttered with this prophecy, who can also explain Ka'ach Shifte Yisrael, like the special ones of the tribes, namely David, who came from Judah. He'll be like him. He'll be ultimately a leader in the Jewish people. Verse 17, Yehi Don Nachash Ali Derech. Don is like a serpent on the road. Sheshifan Ali Ruach, like a viper on the path. Haneshich Ikvei Sus, which bites the horse heels. Vayipol Richvei Achar, so its rider falls backwards. So Rashi says, Shifan, this is a snake, as it says, is given appellation because of its bite. So is it the habit of a snake. Jacob compared Don to a snake who bites a horse's heels and causes the rider to fall backwards. Although it does not touch it, he finds something similar in the story of Samson. And Samson grasped the two pillars of the center, and those on the roof died. Uncle Zer Nachash as Kechayav Chorman is a name of species of snake who bites have no antidote. And that is the tsefuni, the adder. It's called a chorman because it destroys chedem, everything. And Onkelos renders the next word, as like a viper, like a pisson. He renders as he will lie. Verse 18, Hashem, your salvation I hope, O Lord. So over here, Jacob prophesies the Philistines would gouge out Samson's eyes. And Samson, would ultimately say, O Lord God, remember me now and strengthen me now, only this once. And that's why L'sho'ascha kavisa Hashem, that ultimately Samson put his trust in God at the last day of his life. And that ends the Chumash of the day. And now we go to the Tanya of the day. We are holding in chapter 12. The Alter Rebbe talks about the concept of a Beinoni, the aspect of a middleman. And the Alter Rebbe says that the middleman is somebody that has a Yetzer, his evil inclination is alive within him, not like the tzaddik who's evil, from even the tzaddik Vedali, the tzaddik who's bad to him, that has an evil inclination, but his evil inclination is asleep, and he's sleeping, or he's in a coma, and he has no influence upon him. The difference is the Beinoni, the middleman, still has a Yetzer Hara, that argues with him and debates with him and wants him to do evil. Yet because the evil animal soul, because the evil of the animal soul has not sole authority and dominion over the city. Why? Because this godly soul has the rulership over the city. And therefore, the Beinoni is unable to implement this desire by clothing itself in the limbs of the body. Whether it's in deed, dibur, whether it's in speech, umachshava mamish, whether it's even thought. To concentrate his attention on the worldly pleasures. He doesn't have that capability. He can't do that. The devising means, by devising means of satisfying the lust of his heart. So the Beinoni desire for worldly pleasure will cause thoughts of such matters to rise from his heart to his mind. These thoughts are beyond his control because he has an animalistic soul, beyond the sphere of his divine soul. He can, however, control his actual conscience and willful thoughts. So the concept of Beinoni, to have a moment thought of a desire, is out of his control because he has an animalistic soul. So there's no question that's going to come to his mind, that thought. But will he consciously think about it? No. The second that thought comes to him, he'll push it away. The second he'll realize it's coming from his animalistic soul, he pushes it away. And Dr. Rebbe is going to go more onto this. Why? This is the most important statement you're going to hear in Tanya. Ki hamoyach shalat al halev. Because the brain rules over the heart. So the heart, where his animalistic soul resides, will always come to the brain and say, "But I want this taiva. I want to talk this lashon hara. I want to do this evil. I want to think this evil thought." But his mind will say, "No, don't push it away. Mind over matter." By the virtue of an innately created nature. That's what the Eibishter created. This is the way God created man. Every person can, in his will, in his mind, meaning that the will created his mind and understanding, to restrain himself, and control the drive of his heart's lust. Every person has that capability to have self-control. That he doesn't have to have every desire that he wants. Whether it's in deed, thought, or action. And that's what he has to do. He needs to be able to divert his attention completely from the cravings of his heart, to flip it over. So that you have a desire that's out of your control, out of my control. I have an animalistic soul. He's alive and well. He has desires, but I have a godly soul. I have a brain, and my brain tells me no, and I have that capability. And this is true whenever the motives are particularly in direction of holiness. When motivated by the knowledge that his lustful thought are sinful, and thoughts of Torah and mitzvahs good and praiseworthy, one seeks to divert his attention from former to the latter, so that both of his goals and motives are holy. His mind will be particularly affected by mastering his hearts and thoughts. So you should have desires, but desires for godliness. Just like you want a desire for a physical thing, I'm going to have a desire for a spiritual thing. Just like I have a geschmack, a delight in something physical, I should have a delight and transform that delight to spiritual matters. See, but as it says, It's written that I've seen the wisdom surpasses folly, as darkness, as light surpasses darkness. This is the aspect of a Beinoni. The Beinoni shows that the greatness of wisdom over stupidity, the greatness of his mind over his desires, the greatness of light over darkness. That's the greatness of a Beinoni. The Beinoni has the darkness. He has the animalistic soul, but he shows that light is greater. The tzaddik has no animalistic soul, and if he does, it's asleep. So he never understands the concept of darkness. The Beinoni understands the concept of darkness because he has a darkness within him. The darkness is there, but he overcomes. He brings light into his own darkness. And that's why Solomon said, I've seen the greatness of wisdom that comes from stupidity, as I see the greatness of light that comes from darkness. And that's the power of a Beinoni. That's the greatness, because he brings light within darkness. Pirush. Analogy means just like the light has superiority of power and domain over darkness. What does that mean? Shema'at gashmi, a little physical light, banishes a great deal of darkness. Which it dispels it automatically and inadvertently. You don't take effort, you bring a little light in the room, suddenly the room becomes light and the darkness disappears. So is driven away automatically much foolishness of the clip and sitra achra shebechala smali, that's in your left side of your heart. As our sages say, a man does not sin unless he has a spirit of stupidity. A person doesn't sin, he has stupidity. A person doesn't sin is the same expression we have, except a person doesn't sin if he doesn't have enjoyment, and that's his stupidity, because his enjoyment is only for the moment. So a person, I can't control not to do the sin because I want the moment enjoyment, and that's stupid, because you're gonna have a moment enjoyment, but a lot of headaches in the future. But I like that stupidity because it's the enjoyment for the moment. But if I would bring in a little seichel, if I would think about it, then I would bring in a little intellect in the situation. That little intellect, my little intellect in my mind, I don't need a lot of intellect to realize how stupid this thing is, how foolish it is. And that little intellect will disperse the stupidity quickly. From the wisdom of the godly soul that's in his mind. So therefore, the King Solomon said, I see the greatness of a Beinoni. I see the greatness of a person that has stupidity and wisdom than a person that only has wisdom. Because there you see the greatness of wisdom. When you have foolishness and you have the overpowering of foolishness through wisdom, now we see the power of wisdom. When a person is only wisdom, what do you see the greatness of wisdom? When a person has both, he has his wisdom and he has his foolishness. And his foolishness sometimes wants to take him over, but his wisdom pushes it away. Now we see the power of wisdom. So that's the meaning, mind over matter. Where do we see the greatness of mind over matter? Not by a righteous man. His matter has no control over him. By a Beinoni, a middleman, who has both mind and matter. And sometimes they struggle. But if you reveal the mind, it will automatically push away the matter. It will automatically put the matter in focus. So that's why this is the beauty of a Beinoni. I should say limshal avad be'ir, which the godly soul and the mind wants to rule the body. The mind should rule the body. And the mind should be the one who rules tells the body what it needs, not the emotions should tell us what we need. Our mind should tell us what it needs. Which pervades the entire body by means of the aforementioned three garments. The mind is the one that needs to rule the thought, speech, and action. Shemachshava diba meiser, which is the thought, speech, and action. Shetayag mitzvah Torah, which is ultimately in the 630 commandments of the Torah, as discussed above. This concept, as the Alter Rebbe continues, the aspect of a middleman, and the purpose of Sefer Shalbenim, the book of the middleman, is very important. This one statement we learned today, which is important to all of us, is Moyach Shalat Alalev. The Eibishter made, we shouldn't forget, God put it into the system that mind rules the heart. And the way we do it is by giving our mind freedom so the light can penetrate our mind and flow ultimately into our entire existence. We need to free the mind. We need to open our mind. And that little light that we bring in through our mind, through opening up our existence, to thinking out of the box sometimes, to thinking a little bit godly, that will chase away so much darkness. Automatically will chase away so much darkness. That ends the Tanya of the day. Today, Tilim of the 15th day of the month is chapter 77, 78. Chapter 77 and 78 is the Tilim, the Psalms of today, the 15th of the month. If you say those two chapters, you would have done the entire Chitas. I wish you a great day. And I mentioned tonight, we're going to have a class in the portion of the week at 7:30. And everybody's welcome to come and learn a beautiful sikha, beautiful teachings of the Lubavitch Rebbe on this week's portion of Vayechi. Have a beautiful, happy, wonderful, gorgeous